Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we are looking at The Black Phone, released in 2022. The Black Phone is directed by Scott Derrickson, and it stars Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw, Jeremy Davies, E. Roger Mitchell, Troy Rotoseel, and Scott Derrickson is a pretty good director. I mean, he's had some pretty good movies that he's done throughout the years. He did The Day the Earth Stood Still. He did Sinister. He did Doctor Strange. So, I'll be honest, I am not a big fan of Blumhouse's films. I mean, I never did like the Paranormal Activity movies, number one, because I just don't like the found footage style. I just think it's a cheap way just to make a quick buck off of a film. And for, it's not scary, and the films are never scary. I never found Blair Witch scary. I didn't find Blumhouse's version of the Blair Witch with this Paranormal Activity crap scary at all. And then, of course, you had The Conjuring, which the Conjuring series I just never got into because it's about the Warrens. And I've done my research on them, and most of the stuff that they claim has already been outed as total bullshit. So a movie with the Warrens being played by good actors, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, is just it's not for me. I'm not, somebody else likes it. That's your thing. Enjoy. And then their Halloween, this new Halloween trash, I will never get behind. I mean, their version of Halloween is just garbage. It sucks. So I have liked some of their films, but I didn't even know they were even Blumhouse. I mean, Happy Death Day. The first Happy Death Day film. I never watched the second one because first one just seemed like it was a really good one-off movie that should have been just left alone. But then they made a sequel to it, and I watched the trailers, and I said, no, more of the same. I don't want to see it. Don't care. I already seen the first one. That's good enough for me. And then, of course, you have the remakes that Blumhouse has done as well, with most recent one being that travesty that was Firestarter. So I'm not really a big fan of that. And then now recently, my last review was They/Them, and which is another horrible film. So their track record to me is not that good. But The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke is great as the grabber. I'm not lying about that. That's the name of the character. That is what the media has called the character in the film.
I'll scream. If someone's upstairs, they'll hear me.
With the door shut, no one can hear anything down here. I soundproofed it myself. So shout if you like, you won't bother anyone.
If you try to touch me, I'll scratch your face. And whoever's coming will see and ask why.
This face?
But he is nice, and he is creepy, and he is really good, and they don't overuse him on screen. He's effective because of how little screen time he has. So, and then Mason Thames as Finney and Madeleine McGraw as Gwen are real two leads in this film. I mean, these two child actors are so good in this film. And even Jeremy Davies as Terrence, their father, he begins the film in a very uncomfortable scene where he is very abusive. Finney is eating like his cereal in the morning, and he upsetly lowers his newspaper and does this whole, can you slurp a little any louder, and something, and then Gwen comes in and tries to get some bread out of the bread dispenser and accidentally slams the door, which this drunken guy, he's probably suffered from a big, hangover and all this stuff, and he gets upset and she does the whole, I'm sorry, Daddy. And then, of course, later when she starts using her psychic abilities that she has, Terrence gets angry and begins beating her with a belt, which is a very uncomfortable scene to watch. But I mean, the film is well acted and and later on you find out that even though you could never justify what he did, what Terrence was doing to Gwen there, later on they do reveal a little bit of why he is so against her using her abilities. But like I said, the stars of the film are, even though Ethan Hawke is basically the big name in the film, the real stars are Finney and Gwen. And those two child actors playing those characters are amazing in this film. The film is set in 1978, and Scott Derrickson directs this thing really well and puts you in 1978 to make you feel like you're there. I mean, stuff these kids are watching on television is stuff that you would see a kid watching on television. When Finney and Gwen are discussing TV shows and stuff, they do name checks for Happy Days, they do name checks for the Partridge Family, and a lot of the stuff that was right out there, at that time period. The way they dress, the way they look. I mean, and Mason Thames as Finney, he really reminds me of like a cross between A. Michael Baldwin from Phantasm and Brad Renfro from The Client. He's got the overall look of A. Michael Baldwin, but his face, he kind of has a strong resemblance to Brad Renfro. But he is really good, and he looks like a 70s character too. He looks so good in there. And of course, Madeleine McGraw as Gwen, she's got the look too of the 70s, but she's more prouder of her mother. So, and her mother was apparently Native American, so she dresses more Native American-ish than what Finney does. So I think both of these performances by these two child actors, I mean, they just make this movie. When Mason Thames's Finney is grabbed by the grabber, Ethan Hawke's character, he begins to get phone calls on the black phone that is in the little room that the grabber is keeping Finney in. And it turns out that the all of the grabber's past victims are contacting Finney through the phone to try and help him. And, because the grabber elements themselves are more just a traditional serial killer slasher film. But with this elements of the phone and everything, and the past victims trying to help this new victim to survive this ordeal and stop the grabber once and for all, is really a good, and it's played out really well in a good way to where it doesn't come off as just phony and feel wrong. And of course, Madeleine McGraw's Gwen has the psychic abilities that the two detectives, E. Roger Mitchell and Troy Rotaseal, end up they confront her about what she has told one of the previous victims of the grabber, one of her, I guess it was his sister, I think, in the story. And, Gwen had talked to her and told her something about a dream that she saw, where she saw that things that she saw in this dream about her brother. And so the detectives are questioning her, and she is so good. She goes on this profanity-ridden tear against these detectives, and even the principal in the room, trying to correct her and tell her to stop. Can't stop this gal. She is so good. This little gal is. I just loved her performance, and I loved Mason Thames' performance. I mean, and they have really good chemistry while they're on screen together. So another reference that was really nice in here was, because it is set in 78, so you have a scene in the bathroom where Finney's trying to hide from these three bullies, and the local badass comes in. It's a friend of Finney's, and he comes walking in, and of course these bullies just step aside, and let him through. He washes his hands. He shows that he's friends with Finney. He says, "How you doing, Finney?" and everything. And they're still standing there, the bullies are. And then he turns back to them and he says, "You guys can go now. But I hear about you messing with Finney again. I'm going to kick your asses." And they still stand there like a deer in the headlights kind of thing. And then he just turns to them and says, "Yeah, you can go now." And then they leave. And then once they're gone, Finney and this kid, they talk and they discuss Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They discuss Enter the Dragon. So it's like, it really feels like these kids are really 1978 kids. They were all the child actors that were in here, playing the past victims and stuff of him and everything, of the grabber and everything, are really good too, or just probably equally as good as Finney and Gwen. But Finney and Gwen, of course, get more screen time. So, but the performances, like I said, the detectives were good. The Jeremy Davies playing Terrence, their father, he is good. I mean, it's like I said, it is a bit uncomfortable to watch him beating Gwen with this belt when she did nothing wrong. It's just a very uncomfortable scene, and Finney wants to help, but he's scared too. And it's just a hard scene to watch. But it just shows how great of a director that Scott Derrickson is, that he keeps you into this film from the get-go. this was completely the opposite of they slash them. As soon as they slash them started, 10 minutes in, I knew this is veering in bad territory. Black Phone, 6-7 minutes in, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a much better film. This looks like it has potential, and it did, By the end of the film, I have to say I was impressed with it. I think it is. Scott Derrickson did a great job directing this thing, and of course the performances of Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw, Jeremy Davies, all of them. They were great in the film. And in fact, I don't think there was, other than the bullies, which were played a little bit over the top. I mean, they do this derogatory gay slur toward Finney, which was unnecessary. But I guess considering it's 78, that could have been realistically portrayed, I guess, for the time period. Well, could be even considered, realistic for this period. But bullies, I think, sometimes the way they're portrayed in movies, sometimes they're a little over the top and more stereotypical than other characters. But other than them, I mean, the performances down the line were great in this film. I would give this film a 8.5 out of 10. It is a really good film that anyone who likes slasher films, or even supernatural films, you can get your entertainment's value from this film. It is really good. One of the first Blumhouse movies that I've seen since, I think Happy Death Day, that I was pretty impressed with. So, if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. It's on Peacock right now. I mean, watch it. It is a really good film. But remember, if you like this review, and if you like my review and you want to discuss, comment about it, leave your comments down below. I'll respond to them, and again, if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe, and because it really does help the channel out quite a bit. So check it out. Thanks for watching.